Hey everyone, it is Jamie Joe Wright here with Madlet Musings. And today I have with us a new guest who has never been here before, but I have a feeling this is not her last time. Live from New York, it's Naomi Stevens. I've always wanted to say that. Hey Naomi.
Hello.
I was like, I was literally going to say live from New York. It's Saturday Night Live with Naomi Stevens. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not true. Not Saturday Night Live. You won't have to censor anything in this podcast.
That is true.
That is true. All right. Anyway, sorry. I got hung up on the whole New York thing. You are from New York, if everybody's wondering. She's from the state of New York. But we did find out just a few minutes ago that we both are originally from Wisconsin.
That's right.
So you are a true Midwestern girl at heart.
I am for sure.
And the nice thing is, if you're living in New York, at least you still get to experience winter in all its luscious white glory.
That is true. That is true.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
always hoping for a really good blizzard.
Right.
I like
Right. I know.
that.
I do too. I love the blizzards, and then I love like winter. I like the cold. But it's like in Wisconsin, and I'm sure you're aware of this, it can be kind of moody. And so sometimes you want the snow and it's December and Christmas is coming and everything's frozen, but there's no snow. And then the instant Christmas is over, it's like we're gonna dump 84 inches on you. You're
Yeah,
like,
it always comes after. It always comes
always,
after.
always. I'm like, can't we do the snow between like November and like the end of January? And then you can just be done. That's fine. I'm good with that. So.
Yeah.
As you can see, we are definitely talking about your book right now. But I am excited to have you on because your book just released yesterday. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. The book is called The Burning of Rosemont Abbey, and it looks really good. It looks very mysterious and all that. So, I'll do the question all authors love. Tell us what your book's about.
Absolutely. And I have the visual here.
Ooh, there it is. I love the cover.
Yes, they did such a beautiful job
They
on that
did.
cover.
They did.
Yeah, so The Burning of Rosemont Abbey is about a set of twins. And my main character, Louisa Everly, she's trying to exonerate her brother, who's been accused of burning the Abbey and then running off. And
Okay.
everybody wants to blame Paul because they've always blamed him for everything. He's always been a bit of a troublemaker. He's always been kind of unpleasant, doesn't really like the people in Wilbeth Green. So
Hmm.
there's always been that tension. So when the Abbey burns down, the whole town is like, of course he did it. All the evidence points to him. And the only hint that Louisa has that her brother is innocent is that at a crucial moment when he could not have possibly have done it, she feels the moment that he dies. There's that like strange
Mm,
serial twin bond. She just feels it.
yeah.
And when it happens, it like knocks her down to her knees. She's never been more sure of anything in her life.
Hmm.
And she knows it. And so when the timeline starts, emerging of the events of that evening,
Hmm.
where he was supposed to have been seen running off well after she's had this moment, this feeling.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, she goes on her own crusade to kind of go against everybody, her family, and just everybody in the town. Um, and she kind of teams up and kind of works against and with, at different moments, Inspector Malcolm Sinclair,
Hmm.
who is Paul's childhood best friend. They were
Okay.
always in trouble together. He's returned. He's sort of trying to make a name for himself as a detective. And at first, it's sort of going along with he's following the evidence. He's
Hmm.
don't really have much of a case here.
Hmm.
And then, yes, she keeps kind of popping up in his investigation. He's like,
Great.
ah.
She won't go away.
Yeah, and then they end up, to no one's surprise, teaming up a bit.
Right.
Um, and then, yeah, that's the book.
That's the book. Oh, and that's it. That's it. That's all it's about. No. So you would classify this as a mystery, suspenseful novel, correct?
Yes, it's so. And in particular, it's a 1950s murder mystery.
Okay.
And it's sort of uh, in the tradition of like Agatha Christie or
Hmm.
Dorothy Sayers,
Hmm.
that kind of style, that dry, attempting some dry humor and
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to add
So
some levity there as well.
So I have to ask, I don't know if you'll even know this author, but she wrote in the 1950s and 60s, and she was known as a mystery author. She wrote murder mysteries. Emily Loring. If you ever
No,
read her, oh, you have to read her.
no.
She wrote during this exact era, and she wrote a ton of just paperback mystery novels, and all of them are murder mysteries.
Oh,
But
cool.
what's fun is because she was writing for the time, because that was the time she was in, they were considered current day mysteries. But now when you read them, you get the complete, like it's like you're time traveling, like the vernacular, the clothes, the car, like her character will get in a car and put the headscarf on because she's in a convertible or something. And
Oh,
all
yeah.
these things that you're just like, oh, that's so cool. I grew up reading those because my grandma had them all.
Oh, cool. I'll
They're
have
the
to.
coolest thing. Yes, check her out. It's Emily Loring. Her first name is spelled Emilie.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So that's good. But anyway, you just thought it made me think of those books when I saw this one coming out because I was like, oh, you don't get to see a lot of books set in the 1950s right now. It doesn't, when they picture like historical novels, it's usually World War II and before.
Mhm.
Um, and this kind of seems like you've got your own little niche going on right now with the 1950s kind of Agatha Christie style books. Am I right when I say that or
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. I cringe a little to like put my name and Agatha Christie in the
Well,
same
yeah,
sentence.
I get that. I get that.
Yes.
But I put it there. You didn't. So there.
Yay. But yes, definitely
Mhm.
inspired by that
Yeah,
particular genre.
yeah. Which is cool because there's readers out there that love reading Agatha Christie. So if you like that style, that time period, this is a good one to go toward. So now, is this set in England? Because Rosemont Abbey sounds English to me.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
In a fictional small quintessential town where everybody knows everybody else's business.
Oh, okay. So do we have some busybodies in the story?
Oh, for sure. There's Mrs. Kittle and well, teaming up with Louisa and Malcolm is Mrs. Watson, who's a
Okay.
little church lady,
Mm.
driving her Catholic grandson's car because Louisa can't get anywhere because her uncle has barred her from driving because she's been meddling. And so, Mrs. Watson comes puttering along in this car.
That's fun.
So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So when you're like, tell me a little bit about why you chose this time period. Is it just because you were an Agatha Christie fan, or is there something about the 1950s that you're just like, gosh, I want to set a book there?
What's kind of funny is that I actually wasn't a huge mystery reader prior to
Okay.
this, but I have since been just going through one after the other during the process of writing it.
Hmm.
But my husband and I were on a big mystery kick in terms of the shows we were watching.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that actually was more or less, I remember one time, I can't remember what show we were watching, but I was saying, like, it'd be so fun to write one of these.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed so intimidating. And for
Yeah.
me, it's a completely different genre than anything I'd ever explored before.
Yeah.
And I had read a few mysteries, but it wasn't like my genre or anything.
Okay. Okay.
I read a few and enjoyed them. But yeah, so we were watching Father Brown and Endeavor. And on the more modern side of things, we love Psych and Monk.
Hmm.
We watched all of those like many
Right.
times through.
Yep.
I love mysteries. And so when I started writing this, I reached out to a few friends who were like mystery buffs. And I was like, I have
Okay.
an idea and I need a reading list. And so I
Okay.
immediately was on like a steady diet of just Agatha Christie, Dorothy Sayers,
Hmm.
Alan Bradley. Um, so yeah, it's been really, really fun. And now,
Yeah.
I like finish one mystery and I'm like the next, and
Right. They're addictive.
I love it. Yes. And I've been listening to audiobooks. It's been a really new transition for me. I had never done audiobooks
Okay.
before,
Hmm.
but since moving to New York, And I recently started a new job teaching at the local community college, and I commute on the bus.
Oh, okay.
So it's so convenient and nice to
Yeah.
have a mystery rolling during that drive, um and it's made it a lot easier to get through more of them. So
That's
it
so cool.
is.
Yeah. There is something about audiobooks that I really enjoy. I never thought I would become an audiobook reader slash listener or whatever they are. Um, but there's something, it's almost like, I don't know. It's kind of like you're watching the movie, but you're not. Like you're actually able to listen and it's auditory and that really adds something, especially when the narrator's like super good.
And I will say one of the ways that my family celebrated release day when my family came and picked me up from teaching,
Hmm.
and my kids love audiobooks. They've been
Okay.
listening to Harry Potter and the
Hmm.
Five series and Matilda, and so they're big into audiobooks. And when I got in the van, I was like, okay, I'm going to put something on to listen to, and it was Rosemont Abbey, and my kids were like, what? Like it was so exciting. And
That's
the
so
narrator,
cool.
she does all the voices and just that
Okay.
beautiful accent. Like
Yeah.
it's such a fun listen. So that was really cool.
That's the one drawback that I've had because I've set my books, mostly in the Midwest. And so then when I listen to them, I'm like, oh, that's right. There's no English accent because I love English narrators. What it is. It's like you're listening and you're like, and so she picked up her teacup,
Everything sounds more
took a
elegant.
delightful little sip. And then you're like, and she took up her teacup and had a delightful sip. It just doesn't the same. I think I need to change everything to England. You'll know what happened, after this podcast if all of a sudden you start seeing Jamie Jo write books set in England. You'll be like, "Oh, she wanted a different narrator." Oh, funny. But yeah, I've always thought, I don't know if you thought this, but I thought it would be kind of fun to be an audiobook narrator because
Yes.
it's really interesting to hear all the different voices they come up with.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And the
Yeah.
interpretation of a line, where
Hmm.
like I hear it one way in my head when I'm reading or when I'm writing it, if it's my book. And then
Right.
when I hear them say it, it's like, oh, what an interesting interpretation of how that
Yeah.
sounds. Like it brings something completely new to the page. It's
Hmm. It really does. It really does. Oh, fun. So, okay, so we have the quiet English village of Wilbeth Green. I'm looking at the back of the book. The smoldering ruins of Rosemont Abbey. Okay, so for us Americans, what's an abbey?
church,
Okay,
old church. Yep.
okay,
Rosemont Abbey, it's such a loss when it burns because it is this ancient, like it
okay.
survived the Norman invasion and
Mm,
the bombings from World War II.
yep,
So to have it fall that way is just, it's just gut wrenching for the
yeah,
people. And for Louisa, this is her father's church. So
okay,
she's a vicar's daughter, but her parents passed away when she was younger. And so she's been
okay,
living with her aunt and uncle.
okay,
And so for her, it's also this connecting point to the past, to her parents. And so for her, it's a loss on so many different levels
okay,
emotionally for her. But yeah,
yeah,
it's this beautiful old church.
okay. So basically what we have is somebody who arsons a church
Mhm.
then, and it's been blamed on her brother.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Okay. Oof. Oh, you burned down a church in one of your novels. You're a brave woman. Hey, but you know what? It adds to the suspense, there's no doubt. So did you ever go to England then? I mean, have you experienced England firsthand, or is this like Google Maps time?
When in college,
Okay.
I did a summer, like a 3 week May term trip to London, but I've never been out into the countryside. It was in
Okay.
London. Um, and it's been so long. I would love to. I think
Oh,
that the whole time I'm writing, I think I would love to go.
yeah.
But I do get myself out of tricky situations by making the setting very fictional. It's like
Yeah,
it's
I know, right?
in this area.
I think that'll work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking once to some writers, and it was toward the beginning of my career when I was starting to write, and I said, is it better to write, like, why do some writers write fictional towns and other writers write based off of real towns? And Tracy Peterson said to me, and I'll never forget it. She goes, if you're really good at research and you make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, you can use a real town. But if
Mhm.
there's any chance that you're not a detail person and you can't get those letters crossed and dotted, make it fictional. Otherwise, you're going to make someone mad because you put the
Yeah.
stop sign in the wrong spot. I'm like, oh, that's good advice. So that's what I've done. I've always done the fictional town too,
Yep. That's
kind of
right.
inspired by that. So, and you have another mystery that's going to be coming out too, because I saw on your website you said another mystery novel. And so is that a sequel to this or is that a standalone?
It's a standalone, but
Okay.
it is set in the 1950s
Okay.
in small English town.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some
Mm-hmm.
crossover. That one's going to be more of a manor house mystery where they're all
Okay.
gathered at the manor house and then the body, who done it,
Ooh, so it's like a game of Clue.
a little bit. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
little bit more everybody's present
I
and
like that.
can't go anywhere. Of course, the storm comes in very conveniently.
Right. Right.
All the roads.
That's true. I think there's an Agatha Christie. Oh, I know there is one because I can't remember the title though, where they all get stuck in a house and there's a murder. I don't remember which one it is. There's a cliff. I remember it was turned into a movie too, and it has the guy from wow, I can't remember anything. Can you read my mind? Oh, anyway, I don't know. We'll just cut that part out of the podcast because I don't remember. Or else I'll leave it as a blooper and everyone can laugh at Jamie's brain. Oh gosh, now I want to remember that. Anyway, great. Awesome. So we've got more books coming. Oh, cool. So you're writing inspirational fiction as well. So this is obviously for the Christian market. Is there a spiritual theme or thread through the book, or is this more just a story that's good, clean fiction and mystery?
There's definitely the spiritual element. Louisa, so her last conversation with her brother
Okay.
before the horrible night when the Abbey burns and she
Hmm.
senses his death was a horrible fight. And they were always sort of fighting, they were always at odds. And so at the end of the scene, she's kind of flashing back to earlier that day. She says, just really, they both say really hurtful things to.
Mm,
And
hmm.
so going into the investigation, she's carrying a sense of guilt
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
And very much, the vicar and Mrs. Watson, who kind of come along for the ride as they're investigating. There's opportunities there. I wanted the vicar to be sort of involved in the investigation so that he
Okay.
could, at crucial moments, offer like
Mm,
counsel.
hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so yeah, and I would say too that I was looking for opportunities to bring in like references to some of my favorite, Bible stories.
Hmm.
And you see it in, the description of like the stained glass windows that had
Mm,
been, and, some of the stories that her father, that she remembers being told as a child, about like Joseph and his
okay.
brothers, giving them and
Yeah.
connecting them to her relationship with her brother. So yeah, looking for opportunities to bring some of that in,
Hmm.
her favorite hymns and things like that.
Okay. That's cool. That's great. What was it about the 1950s that intrigued you the most when you were like researching to bring that authenticity into the book? Because obviously you had to like look at probably
Yeah.
dresses and gloves
Oh,
and things like that, right?
aesthetic is so fun to jump into.
Yeah.
And I bought a really fun visual exploration of fashion, tracing it through the 50s. And I got to do sort of a hands-on activity where my mother-in-law does hair, and
Oh,
she's always cut, dyed, done all my everything that I say, I'd like to try this. She's always been my go-to person.
okay. Okay.
And so when I was researching pin curls, I was
Mm,
really intrigued. And, my hair is as straight as hair can possibly be. It doesn't curl very easily.
sure.
So I asked her, I was like, have you ever done pin curls? And she was like, I have. It's been a very long time. But we got everything we needed and we looked up all the information on how to do it, like according to the 50s. And I got the head scarf and everything. And she put my hair up in pin curls. And I was like, I hope they work, because anytime
Mhm.
I try to curl my hair, it
Yeah.
flattens. We pulled that first pin out and I pulled the curl down and it was like boing right up to my head. It was perfect. And then she brushed it out. There's a little video of it on my
I was
Instagram.
gonna say, is there a video or
There is a
pictures of
video.
this?
And it was so fun. And it
That's
gave me a
awesome.
feel because Louisa is very fashion for
Okay.
she's a very fashionable character. And so
Okay.
she's doing the pin curls and she's styling them. And
Hmm.
so that was really helpful. Just the movement and the feel of the
Yeah.
curls and the process of doing it. Um, I love hands-on research like that. I
Yeah.
think
It
so.
is fun. Well, it helps you describe those scenes too, like if she's putting her hair in pin curls. Now, the pin curl, I've always wondered, is it bobby pins that
It
you're
is.
curling around? Okay.
Yeah, they crisscross. So you like wrap it around your finger and then
Okay.
stick it, and then one pin, and then one pin, and you do it all over your head. And
And
then
you
we
sleep in
wrapped
it?
it. Yes, you sleep in it. And so yeah, I wrapped the scarf, the silk scarf, like around to keep everything in place. And I had to I dropped. She was visiting, and so we dropped the kids off at school in the morning, and I had like like the pins all still in, and I went into Starbucks to get some coffee and just
That's awesome. I love that. I
I
love
had
that.
so much hair, like hair stuff too, like all the mousse and everything to
Hmm.
make sure that it had the texture and everything.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
cool. It was a really
That's really fun. That's really fun. I can't imagine sleeping in it though. It's like stabbed at midnight by hairpin. Like
which sounds like a murder
it
mystery.
does. Stabbed at midnight. It's a great title for your next book.
Start writing these down.
Yeah, exactly. Stabbed. And how did your character die? By bobby pin. They stabbed her with a bobby pin.
With the right narrator, pull that off.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. Oh, wow. So pin curls. Okay. I'm not gonna try it, but it sounds really exciting.
It was fun. It was fun. I have not really. I tried it a couple times on my own, and it just didn't. It didn't turn out as well as.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be hard to do.
Well, especially like reaching up and
Yeah.
able to really see. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
she did a fabulous job with them.
That's
She,
crazy.
she kept saying, she's like, you look like you remind me of my Aunt Dorothy. She was, for her, she was like flashing back to like
I
watching her
suppose.
put her hair up in pin curls. And
Oh
she was
my
like,
goodness.
this was the style. Like, this was.
It's kind of funny. Like, here I am doing a podcast in a sweatshirt, like a hoodie and a messy bun, and, I slap on some lip color or something just to try and look like I'm not dying. And then you look back in those days, like in the 1950s, and everybody seems so put together. Like, you read the books, and it's like the wife, make sure that your dress is ironed and your hair is done before your husband gets home, that the roast beef is cooked properly. And it's just like, it's like a different world.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Like there's part of me that's kind of like, gosh, it'd be fun to go back to that time period and just see what it was like. A little bit of a slower pace,
Mm-hmm.
a more defined role, whether we liked it or not, for women. A lot of them were in the home, except, but it would just be interesting to follow a housewife along the lines or a fashionista or anything like that during the 1950s. It'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. All right. Well, the book is called Burning of Rosemont Abbey. It is available anywhere books are sold.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right. Awesome. And we can get it in an ebook and audiobook.
Yes.
Yay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So if you're an audiobook listener, you'll definitely want to get this one because it's going to have an English narrator. And we've already established that you can't beat the English narrators. No, no shade to the really good narrators that aren't English. I mean, there's some phenomenal
Yeah.
ones, but it's just something about that English accent I'm just still like swooning over. So, and if readers want to get to know you, because this isn't your first book, you have another book out, you've got another mystery coming out, and you have a retelling, a biblical retelling
I
coming
do.
out.
I have a Rahab retelling
Okay,
February. Um,
okay.
so it's the story of Rahab set during the American Revolution,
Mhm.
centered around the storming of Stony Point, which is
Mm.
when I wrote the book. We were still living in Ohio, and we took a road trip out here to see Stony Point, which is now that we live in New York, just like 15 minutes away from our house.
That crazy how that
Fun
happens?
turn of events. So yeah, that one's coming out in February.
Okay, okay. So if readers want to make sure they're staying up with all of this information, what's the best way for them to follow you, get to know you, and become a Naomi Stevens fan?
NaomiStevens.com has
There you
all
go.
my information. It has a newsletter sign up, and I have a few events that are coming up. So if you live in the Ann Arbor, Michigan area,
Okay,
or the Grand Rapids, Michigan area, or where else am I doing an event? Bethlehem, Pennsylvania,
okay.
or Bronxville, New York. I have events coming
Ooh,
up in those areas.
ooh,
So check it out. And
yes.
yes, I would love to meet readers, whether online or in person, if it's possible.
That would be awesome. Yeah, so definitely check out Naomi Stevens. That's with a PH, Stevens.com. And I'm sure you probably have a newsletter on there too, everybody should sign up for.
I have a newsletter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We always, authors are always like, sign up for the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. And it's not because we like to bombard people's email inboxes. It's just if the world falls apart and we lose contact with Facebook friends, we still have our email list. So.
Yay.
Naomi, this is so much fun. It's been fun to get to know you. It's been probably fun for you to hear me stumble around trying to remember things that I never actually did. And, and it's been fun to talk about the
So fun.
1950s. You come back with your next releases and we'll chat some more and we'll keep exploring the 50s.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was so fun.